Yeah, hello friends. Welcome to today's webinar, LM Show in the Reunion. And what I want to do right now is just to take you through a review of what happened last week and what we are expecting, the price action we're expecting for this week and weeks to come. So first, I will start with Euro USD as usual. And this was what I posted last week, and we've been following this analysis for quite some while, and this is where we are right now. We are around this area. And so we are still expecting price to get to this level, but it's not going to get there just in one day. It's supposed to have some consolidation before making the final move for the wave five. And so since the expectation is for us to get the final move for wave five, but we are still in a consolidation zone. So on the weekly time, on the daily time frame, this was the setup I posted last week, and we seem to be in wave four right now, and we might be having something that looks like a WXYXZ correction before we move for the final wave five. And so on the 4 hour time frame, this was what I eventually posted, and as you can see, um, I expected that price is going to go up to this level first before coming down based on this kind of structure. Now let's go to the platform so that we'll see what price eventually did. Let me share the screen for you to see. So this is the Euro USD 4 hours time frame, and as you can see, it was just exactly how I predicted. Price first pull back a little and wants to give us the final move down before we now start going to the upside. So that is my expectation right now. But you need to quite understand that these are possible scenarios. Another scenario that price could do is that since we are expecting um, a final bullish trend to the upside, price can eventually just trend in this kind of a setup where you have your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and price may not get to this level before going to the upside. So we can have a consolidation that will give us something like this and go to the upside. So we need to actually be on the watch out to look at what eventually price will do. Is it going to give us this setup and go to the upside, or is it going to come and test this low and go to the upside? But for me, I will be interested in buying around here than trying to buy around here. And that's the setup I'm looking at. But I'll be watching very carefully to see if price will reject this zone completely and uh, go up. If it's going to go up right now, I'll still expect it to come down first before making the bullish trend. So you need to actually exercise some patience and watch what price will do eventually. Don't just jump in. Let price go up. Don't just jump in because there's a possibility that when it goes up, it will still come down to give us a fifth wave for this internal triangle formation before eventually it's now go to the upside. But I will be expecting that price will keep on going to this level before it makes a move to the upside. Now, also in the in my group, Elemosha Trading Dex, after Euro USD, the next one setup that we look at was the Euro JPY. And the Euro JPY, this has been a long setup that I posted for quite some while. And I gave the setup even before price started selling. I gave the setup somewhere around here. And this is where we are right now. So let's go to the daily time frame and the 4 hour time frame as usual. So on the daily time frame, I gave the setup somewhere around here that we are going to have the sell to the downside, and that is what is currently happening right now. And so this is your wave C after the internal 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then A, B, C before we now start having going heading for wave 5. But it's not just going to happen right now. I'm still expecting that price will get to this zone and reject it before we now start going to the uptrend. So let's go to the 4 hour time frame and see my expectation. This was the expectation that I posted last week. And in the group, I told you that two scenarios of buy setup. Either break of the neckline, SHS inverted shoulder head shoulder pattern, or one last impulse to the downside, which rejects the 261.8% where we go long. The second scenario is preferable. So I told you right there that I will be expecting that price will reject this. This shoulder head shoulder setup will not be valid. There can be a little fake out just for people to be trapped into the buy, only for price to now start going to the downside. And I will be more interested in buying from here. That was the setup I told you guys last week. And eventually that was what price did right now. On the Euro JPY, this is the 4 hours time frame. This is the 4 hours time frame. And we could see that this is the shoulder edge shoulder that I gave before, shoulder, inverted shoulder edge shoulder pattern. And I told you that there can be a fake out, which is what we experience eventually, and price will now eventually start coming down. And I'm still expecting price to come and test this low around this box for me to go long. So if you want to go long right now, you are not supposed to go long. You are supposed to wait for price to get to this area first and give you a rejection before going long. As at that time, there's a possibility that we will now start having a divergence on the RS side and also possibly on the MACD. So that confirmed the setup on the Euro JPY. So if you go to the next one on the channel, the next setup that I posted was Euro HUD Weekly. And for the Euro HUD Weekly, the setup seems to be kind of a little tricky. I was expecting price to go down from here and go to test with E. But the setup is still, the structure is still remaining intact. And on the daily time frame, I told you that we might first have a pullback for price to come and test this area before going down. And on the 4 hour time frame, I told you that price is going to get to this area, then go up, give us something like a flag before coming down eventually. Or it's going to go with the setup that I have here that on the daily time frame to go for the week 5 before eventually coming down. So let us go to see what price eventually do on our MT4. So on the MT4, this is what price eventually did. This is the setup that we had, and this was where we are right there. Right there in the setup. That was where I gave the signal that it's going to first come to this area, then give us something that will look like a setup for us to go short. But eventually, that didn't happen, and price went back to the starting point. And immediately, price is going to start buying. I gave this signal call for you to buy in the group, and in the course of the webinar, I can show you the setup, or maybe I can quickly just go and zoom to where I gave the buy setup. I don't know if I can quickly get it right now. CAD JPY, USD JPY. Let me see if I can quickly get the Euro. Okay, I think I've passed it. The Euro AUD setup that I gave you guys to a buy setup. It was an harmonic setup. Okay, this is the Euro AUD, and immediately price got here and rejected this area. I gave you a signal to go long, and that the first TP should be somewhere around here, because I was thinking that it's going to give us a kind of a setup that is going to be very similar to what we have right here. But that didn't happen. Price eventually did something like this and went back to the starting point. So what I'm expecting right now is still the formation that I showed you guys eventually. Let me go to the MT4 back and show you my expectation. So this is where we are right now, and this is where price rejected from initially. And I'm still expecting some reaction for price right here to go short. And most likely we are going to be having a bad pattern. And the bad pattern will be something like this right here, where we'll be having the 1.13. So price might still extend to this area, the 1.13 zone, I don't want to extend it further. Like price might still get here and do as if it's going to give you a higher high before it starts selling. So you don't want to really sell until you have a something that looks like a break above this level and a rejection around this zone to go short. So this is what I'll be expecting in this week going forward. I'll be expecting a rejection around here for price to go down to give us something like this setup. Now that gives us our expectation for the euro HUD, the euro pounds. Let me go back to the setup on the on the Telegram channel, where I gave you the expectation of what to expect. For the euro pounds, what we have been looking at is a bearish signal. Euro GDP, yes. So for the Euro GDP on the daily time frame, on the weekly time frame, I'm expecting price to just go up a little, then come down based on this structure. We are in an APC correction right here, and that's the weekly time frame. And on the daily time frame, this is what I showed you guys that is going to come down to this low, then give us another consolidation to come down right here. And when price gets here, we can now decide whether it's going to go back to test and give us something that looks like this setup. This go back to test the top, then come down finally, which is still what I'm expecting. But you know, this is a long-term setup. The short-term setup right now is that it's going to range in this. Is actually trapped within this range, and the 4-hour setup that I gave you guys is that price is going to test this area. And as you can see, if I go back to the MT4 time frame, you would see what price eventually did. And so this was the setup that I gave you, and price was eventually right here. And this is what we have afterwards. And right now, I'm expecting, because price is trapped within this range, and this range is about 150 pips. So we're expecting that price can still continue ranging until it finds its momentum to break below or above. So I gave this setup also on in the group that you guys should look for a buy setup because of this harmonic pattern that I could see. The sharp pattern where price rejected the 88.6 right here. And so I gave you this setup in the group, and we are still waiting for the rejection. I'm not yet in this trade. Eventually by Monday trading day, I will look out for rejection here. If I have a proper rejection, then I will go long. The next setup that we'll be looking at right now will be the Euro card. Now, Euro card has quite been funny, which is what you guys would explain. That card, the Canadian dollar has refused to be strong all the while, and so I was expecting that price would get to 1.63712 all the while, and I guess that's the level. Yeah, sorry, I think I had a timeout there. Mm. Yeah, so I was expecting wave 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but the three doesn't seem to be respected right now for wave 4 to begin, and we are still in something that looks like an extended wave 3. And the 4-hour time frame setup that I gave you guys was that when price gets here, we should look forward to see we should look forward to see a consolidation around here for us to go short. But that didn't happen. Let's look at what price eventually did. On the Euro card, price after it got here, It didn't give us the expectation that we wanted, a consolidation around here. We didn't get that consolidation for us to go short. Immediately got it reversed back to the origin. And so just like we have it on the Euro Euro odd, I'm still expecting that similar setup on Euro card. But this setup will be quite different a little because we seem to be in something that would look like an ending diagonal right here, where price will do something like this, eventually to now start going down. I will communicate the setup, new setup to you guys in the group. So the next thing we'll be looking at right now will be the Euro Chief. Now for the Euro Chief, the analysis was done on the daily time frame, and I was expecting that price after it has done the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 A, B, C. After it has done the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 A, B, I'm expecting the C movement, and we are not getting that eventually right now. So I was expecting that price is going to form something that will look like an ending diagonal for us to go short. But let's also look at what we eventually had on the MT4 Euro Chief, and right now it's not far from what my expectation was, which is what I am expecting, something that will look like this for price to come down. But price is still consolidating within a very, very tight range. Price is within a very tight range. And so there's a possibility that it may not form an ending diagonal anymore. There's a possibility that this is what we are going to have, that we now have this a flag setup for us to go short. So if we are going to be, since it's now giving us a flag setup to go short, if price reject this area completely at the market open, then we should be looking forward to being in this trade, because the next trade is going to be an impulse trade where we have your wave 1, your wave 2, your wave 3, your wave 4, and your wave 5 right here. So you don't want to miss this trade, guys. So the next setup we'll be looking at right now would be the Euro New Zealand. And for the Euro New Zealand, what I gave you guys before was that price should come down and trade within this triangle for us to go short. Then let's look at the daily time frame. Okay, I only give the daily time frame. I didn't give the 4-hour time frame. But let's go to the MT4 and let's see what price eventually did. So for the Euro New Zealand daily time frame, this is where we are. So as expected, we are still trading in this setup. And what I can give you right now is this. That price is giving us this flag pattern for us to go short. And we are not going to be going short now until when price gets to this zone. When price gets to this zone and reject it completely. If we get to this zone and reject it completely, then we'll be looking forward to shorting it from there for the next impulse to the downside. The first target will be here, second target will be here, and if price keep on going down, you want to leave the rest of the trade to right. And so basically for all Euro pairs right now, from the Euro USD, we're expecting that price either get to this zone and make the impulse to the upside or come down. For the Euro JPY, we are still expecting some more bearish trend. For the Euro AUD, we are expecting a rejection around there for price to go down. For Euro GDP, price is expected to reject this area. And this is the only pair that still has bullish momentum. But if it breaks below this level, then we want to go down and we are going to be testing this low, which is this 113.1 that I marked here, this confluence zone. So if price gets here, then this is where it should get to before any reversal. For Euro card, I'm expecting an ending diagonal formation for us to start selling. And for Euro Chief, we are already in a flag setup where we are expecting the to go short from there. Then for Euro New Zealand, we're expecting price to get to this zone, reject it, where we now sell from there. So those are our expectation for the Euro pairs. Now I'll be going to the pounds pairs. Now, for the pounds pairs, what I gave you guys before, let's go back to my channel. For the GDP USD weekly, after we have ended this corrective phase, I'm expecting that price give us a setup for us to go short. So the overall trend for GDP weekly time frame is still a downtrend. Now on the daily, I'm expecting that price will continue consolidating within this range, then do a first breakout up to this level before eventually reject it around this zone for it to come down. Then on the 4-hour time frame, I told you that we have something that looks like the WXYXZ correction, where price, after it gets here and rejects it, we are expecting it to come down to this level before it goes to the upside, then reject it around this zone, reject it around this area, before eventually now start the bearish trend to the downside. So those are my expectations. Let us go to the MT4 and see what eventually price have done. So price have not really done anything over the week. Price have only consolidated within this zone right here. And so right now, I'm still expecting this bearish move to the downside, which will complete the WXYXZ before we now have a reaction around here for us to go long. So the next one right now that I gave you guys was GDP JPY. And for GDP JPY, that's the pound yen, I told you that we are still expecting price to go down to test this low before we start the bullish trend. And on the 4-hour time frame, I told you guys that we will be trading in something that will look like this kind of a setup, where price will come down here and consolidates to give you the bullish setup, which will look very close to what we have right here. You can see that most of the time price usually do repeat its trend. And this is what we have right here, that after price broke out from this setup, which is very close to this setup right here, it broke down and it did as if it has started the uptrend, which is what it did right now. It broke down, then it did as if it has started the uptrend, only for it to keep on going down. And so we are still expecting this one more impulse to the downside before we now start having this trend, which is something like this. So invariably, sometimes the market can give you a clue of what to expect in the what to expect it to do. So let's go to the MT4 and see what has happened so far. So on the 4-hour time frame, this is what we have. And as you can see, it has started the bullish, the bearish trend to the downside. So that was what I was telling you guys, that you should be looking forward to sell from here. And so why I drew this trend line right here is because we can have a false breakout that would make it look as if a bullish trend has happened, but then it can give us something that would look like an harmonic setup. So some people don't know much about harmonic setup and how to be looking out for it. So that this price broke out from this structure doesn't mean the bullish trend has occurred. It's only trying to give a perfect reversal pattern for us to go long eventually. And the harmonic pattern will look something like this. Here, this is your X, A, B, and C, a rejection around here, or it can give you something that looks like a shark or a cipher pattern. But I'm not expecting it to break above this level. I'm expecting a rejection around the 88.6 or thereabouts. Then an extension of, say, the 126, 161.8 or 127.2. So the extension level, because I can't scroll right now based on the tool that I'm using, it might get to somewhere around here or at the 127.2. If I can get my 120 around something around here for us to go long. So I'll post that setup to you guys eventually when it forms, but I'm only looking out for a sell setup right here. I'm not looking out to start buying from that zone. Then the GDP card. This has been the stubborn pair for the week. I was expecting the bearish trend to continue, but that didn't happen. So the structure still remains the same though, but we still have some bullish movement right now because Canadian dollar is still very weak. So immediately it rejected my sell zone. I expect it that it's going to form a shoulder head shoulder pattern for it to start for us to start going short, and that didn't happen. Let's go to the MT4 time frame and see what eventually happened on that pair, the GDP card. So what we now have is that price came down as we have it right now. It came down but rejected it and went up again, but it's still within the overall structure, and I told you guys to remain intact, that the structure remains the same. As far as price has not gone above this that you can see right here, then we are still within the correction phase, where this is your 1 or A, 2 or B, and this is your 3 or C. So you're supposed to get to this. The oversight that I had before was that I didn't draw the Fibonacci expansion tool for me to get the rejection zone. So it's supposed to get to the 127.2 right here and reject it completely. But I don't foresee it getting to the 161.8 because it has been overbought throughout all time frames. So I'm expecting that when it gets here, it's actually going to be like a fool's mate for a lot of people that have started buying because they feel that they are doing a break above. So they'll be thinking it's going to maybe come down and keep on going to the upside. But the structure that I know, based on my experience level, tells me that this is supposed to reject here and continue its bearish trend to the downside completely. So even if it's going to keep on going to the upside, it is expected to first retrace this move to the upside. So the retracement is supposed to come somewhere like this, reject it around here, then go to the upside. So whatever the case will be, we are looking for a sell structure from this point onwards. So let's go to the next pair. The next pair right there is the GDP, the pound CF. And I told you guys that I was expecting price to go down from here based on this correction phase that it was in. But I don't think that was what we got. And on the 4 hours time frame, I gave you the setup that it's supposed to go up a little, reject it around here, then come down. But over the course of the week, I observe the formation that is now trying to do, which is very, 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 very obvious. Now, this will be your reference point. It made this high before, then came to this low. Then it retraced this that bearish trend and came down again and broke this top. And now is making the final impulse move. Now you can see that it's clearly giving us an harmonic pattern. And so in the group right there, I told you guys that you should watch out for the shark pattern that is forming. And I think I can quickly scroll to the setup that I gave concerning the GDP chart that you guys should watch out for the upcoming pattern, which is this. So immediately I saw that formation coming and that we are going to be having the shark pattern. So there's every possibility that price will get to the 78.6 zone and reject it before it comes down. But we will still have some setup that will, sell setup that will look as if price has started selling, but only for some people to get caught out from the sell. The price is supposed to do this. This is your 1 and your 2. This is your 3 and your 4, and this will be your 5. Then you now start having a reversal to the downside for your A, B, and C. So if you are selling, you want to quickly, when price gets here and you want to sell, you want to quickly take your profit because you can still get to the 78.6 before it starts selling. Let me quickly scroll back to the flow of the chart. Okay. So after the GDP chart, then the GDP AUD. Now, for the pounds odd, I was expecting that since it's breaking out from this correction phase, that it's going to keep on going down. That's for the daily time frame. And for the 4 hours time frame, okay, that for the, yeah, it's for the daily time frame. And this is also the daily time frame confirmed with an harmonic pattern. But eventually, that is what not we experience right there. And let's just go to the MT4 and see what exactly we had. So on the MT4 GDP AUD 1 hour time frame, price rejected this correction phase and scrolled back to the starting point. And I think in the group, I told you guys that you should not be looking for any sell structure right here. The fact that it's breaking this top does not mean that it's now going to keep on going to the upside. Now let's look at the similar structure that we had and try to see if price have done this before and what exactly happened after price did that. Let's go to the Euro JPY and see the kind of structure that we have. Now you will see that price did something similar right here. It broke this top. It broke this top around here. After breaking this top, only for it to reverse and keep on going down significantly. Now, this kind of structure is what I'm now expecting. And as you can see, it gives us an impulse to the upside, a correction, impulse, a correction, then the final impulse before it now starts coming down, which gives us this kind of a pattern that I call a life bat shape. But if you go to the GDP AUD time frame, let us see if we have this kind of similar structure. As you can see, we have that same impulse, a correction, an impulse, another correction. Now it's breaking it up right now. And after breaking it up and reject it, it's supposed to come down significantly. The same kind of setup that you can see on the Euro JPY 4 hours time frame. So I want you guys to look out for a rejection around this zone. And most likely, I'm not going to draw the Fibonacci level right now, but most likely it's going to be at the 161.8 extension level or possibly the 127.2. If we reject that zone, then we'll be looking forward to short the pair. Then the next one in line would be the pounds New Zealand. And for the New Zealand pounds, we are expecting the price to go to the upside first before we have any bearish move to the downside. And on the 4 hours time frame, I gave you the same setup. This is the daily, and I think I gave the same setup on the 4 hours time frame that is going to go up to the upside. Now on the MT4, let's just look at what we eventually had. On the MT4 GDP New Zealand, this is eventually what we have. So we have this bullish trend to the upside, and right now we seem to be trading in something that looks like is already giving us an harmonic pattern, which is this. So I will be looking hard for a setup, for a sell setup right here, a rejection around this zone, and upon the rejection, I will be selling this pair once it gives us, once it rejects this my rectangle zone that I already drew last week. So I wasn't interested in buying it at all. I was interested in selling it when it gets to this zone. So immediately it gives me a rejection around here, I'll trigger my sell. So let's just look at the next pair that we have right now that I posted last week, which is the USD JPY. So for the USD JPY right now, what I told you guys to look out for was to look out for an ending diagonal around that path. Let me clear this drawing. Okay, so I told you guys that you should be looking out for an ending diagonal, and the diagonal formation will be something like this before we now start going to the upside. So don't be tricked into buying right now until price has given you the go ahead to eventually buy. So let's look at the 4 hour time frame. For the 4 hour time frame, this was what I told you to expect. I told you to expect this kind of I made a forecast for this kind of pattern to form. So let's go to the 4 hour time frame and see what price eventually did. So on the 4 hour time frame, we can see that price is exactly doing what we expected. So this was where price was before I gave that setup that is going to go short. So I gave that setup right here. That price is going to go short around this area. And I was expecting it to get to this zone. So don't buy right now because there's still a probability that price gets to this area, break this top and break this low, sorry, then go for another impulse move, possibly come down one more time before eventually now start going to the upside. So if you want to buy this pair, you want to wait for it to get to this low. That's where you can buy from. But right now, it's still giving us the formation of that ending diagonal where you have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Sometimes the diagonal used to end with 6, 7, but in most cases, it ends with a 5 and give you a zigzag to the upside. So let us look at the next setup that that I gave you guys during the week. USD CAD. Okay, USD CHF. Now for the dollar CHF francs and Swiss francs, I told you that we will be expecting one more impulse to the downside. So price is actually right now in wave 4. And so let me go to the MT4 and see where we are right now. For the USD Swiss, we can see that, okay, let me reduce this so that you'll see the pattern. And so the whole of this area is where I'd class as the wave 4. And right now, this is where price is projecting. So you don't want to sell this pair right now, although somehow it looks as if you want to break the top, but it refused to break this top on this second attempt. If you see further refuse to break this top, then you want to trigger your sell, because the sell is going to give you a nice sell up to this area. And after much consolidation, we can have a break to this downside. Remember that we have a setup for Euro USD to go to the upside, but it needs to first come down before it makes the final move to the upside. So if going to make the final move to the upside, this one also will be making its final move to the downside before we now start having the bearish trend, because in some percentage of the time they usually go in opposite direction. Let's look at the next pair. I think the next pair will be USD CAD. Yes, so for the USD CAD, I was expecting price to keep on going down since it rejected this area that looks like a resistance. But that didn't happen because CAD has refused to be strong for last week. So we see how did that price eventually went further to the upside. And so right now, it's going to get to the 127.2 first, but I don't see it getting to the 161.8 level. But I see it getting to this 127.2, then rejecting it completely to going down and giving us this kind of structure. So let's go to the MT4 time frame and see what where price is currently right now. So on the MT4 right now, we can see that price is currently overbought and is now at the 127.2 zone. So a rejection around here, although it's not showing any rejection currently right now. So for tomorrow, Monday, it might not be a good time to sell. It might be a time to confirm the rejection at this area. Then on Tuesday, the sell can now commence. And if you want to look at the Elliott wave count on the 4 hours time frame, we'll be looking at your wave 1, and this is your wave 2, and your wave 3, this is your wave 4, and we are having your wave 5 for you to have your A, B, and C, possibly somewhere around here. And so we can see that we are already having a divergence, which is what we need for wave 5 to happen, where price is making a higher high right here, but the momentum indicator is making a lower low. So as far as there's no new high on the momentum indicator, then we'll be looking forward to selling it upon price action confirmation. So let's look at the next setup that we had, the Aussie. Now for the Aussie, I told you that we'll be having an handy diagonal right here before we go to the upside. And I gave you guys this setup that when price gets to this area, it's supposed to reject it and come down. Now let's look at what we eventually had on the MT4. AUD USD 4 hours, which is exactly what happened. Immediately price got to that zone. Immediately price got to this zone. it eventually rejected it and made this sell. So I'm expecting that this is my 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So price is still expected to get to somewhere around here, which is where I put my my box eventually before. So when it gets somewhere around here, that is when we'll be looking forward to triggering our buy. For the next one on the line will be the odd yen. And for the odd yen, I told you guys that price has made the A and it's supposed to correct for the B before it made the final C impulse. And on the 4 hours time frame, this is where the A is supposed to end. Then we are now supposed to come down for the B and for the C. So let's just look at what price eventually did. If you go to, these things are not magic. Once you understand certain movements in the market and you spend your time analyzing the market, especially for some of you that are still hesitating whether you want to get trained or not, there are some certain things that you need to watch out for that will give you an indication of what to look out for in the market, and you won't be gambling anymore. You actually be trading like a pro. So that's exactly what happened. Just like what I did before. Let me bring up my Elliott Wave indicator. So this is my, sorry, let me move this guy to the upside. So this is my wave 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And here we have our A and now our B. And so we will be expecting our C. So just like we have it before, we'll be having it that odd is going to be very strong. And because we are now in wave B, there's a possibility that we can have a complex B. And when I say complex B, it means that instead of price to just go for wave C immediately, that will not happen. It will actually range around here before we now have the final move to the upside. So the fact that they put C right here doesn't mean price will just jump there. You need to observe what price will do, then adjust to what it's doing eventually. So let us look at the next setup that I gave you guys in the course of the week last week. After the odd yen, okay, the New Zealand dollar. For the New Zealand dollar, I told you to expect more downside before we have the wave C. And on the 4 hours time frame, I told you that price is going to get to somewhere around here, then reject it completely. Now let us look at what price eventually. These things are not magic. You just need to know how all these things form, and by yourself you can eventually trade. So exactly what happened based on the prediction that I told you guys right there, that price would get to that zone, and immediately it gets to that zone, you should expect it to reject it and start selling from there. And as you can see, immediately it got to this zone, it rejected it and it sold. And I gave you guys the sell setup in the group, and it gave us something roughly in the range of how many pips? I think around 120 pips. If I go to the setup, you would, if I go to the channel, you'll see where I gave you the setup for you to go short. I don't know if okay, this is the New Zealand USD. So I gave you guys the setup here that you should sell the pair, and your TP should be somewhere around here. And that pair gave us something roughly 120 pips. So for the New Zealand card also, the same setup I'm expecting. And even though price has not exactly done what it's supposed to do based on the fact that card is yet to be strong, we are expecting that that is what we are going to have right now. So over the course of the period, price has just moved just this small pips, just this small amount of pips. This is what it has only done. So if you are in this trade right now, you want to leave your trade very well, because immediately card gets strong, it's going to drag this pair down further, and it might even break this channel completely. And so we are still in the course, and it's still going to deliver more pips for us. But right now, we have only had maybe about 50 pips in profit. Then the next setup that I gave you guys, the CAD yen. Now for the CAD yen, I told you guys to look out for more downside then before we now start having the upside, just like we have it in the Australian yen. Let's also look at the MT4 time frame and see what eventually price did. So this is the CAD yen, and just like magic, it just did exactly the prediction. The prediction is this, that immediately price gets here, we are supposed to come down for the final wave, then buy from here. And that means that now we are supposed to be looking for a buy opportunity upon price action confirmation. That means by tomorrow or Tuesday, when you have confirmed that a proper rejection around there, and I can see a proper rejection anyway, if you know how candlestick form, you will realize that this candle right here is actually your rejection candle. This. So until price breaks below this candle, then you are still supposed to hold your buy position. It is when it breaks below the wick of this candle, then you can now close your trade for small pips and look for a new buy entry when you have proper rejection. But the price action remains the same. You have your 1, 2, 3, 4, and this will be your 5, and your A. So B can be somewhere around here to give you shoulder head shoulder pattern, and C, and your A might even extend to somewhere around here. Your A might be somewhere around here, so that to give you a neckline. So price might do something very close to this, something like this. Then make the final move to the upside. So eventually, that is what price did. Let's look at the next setup that I gave you guys. Gold. For gold, Goldin eventually did what I wanted it to do well, but it's still within what I said it's going to do. That it's going to first come down, then go to the upside. So right now, I think what we have right now is that it has made the move to the downside, and we are now expecting it to now go to the resume the bullish trend. So this is where it is right now. I'm still expecting it to go down further to this area. It might even break it and test this area right here before it now resumes the uptrend. So we are in something that looks like a triangle, and the normal setup for a triangle is that you are supposed to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then you now go to the upside. So price is getting to an area of interest where you want to look for a bullish trend. And so those are the kind of setup that I gave you guys last week. I think I stopped at gold, but over the course of the period, I gave you guys the entry levels for some of the setup that I posted, which is the yen, the euro AUD. Yen went in our way, just like I predicted. USD JPY, euro AUD went our way, and right now euro AUD is now somewhere around here. Although I closed my own profit earlier, I was thinking it's going to start consolidating. Then, okay, I think I mistakenly clicked on what I'm not supposed to click on. Let me quickly scroll back. Then, I'm going back to the yen. Okay, the euro AUD, here it is. Then the next one is the GDP yen, which I gave you guys the setup for it to go short. And this gave us roughly somewhere around 150 pips. And this is where price is now currently. Price is somewhere around here. And so I'm expecting it that after it did this, it's going to go up a little, then break it to the downside. So if you are still in the sell, you can still hold your sell. But otherwise, you are supposed to close out of your position and move your stop loss to somewhere around here. Then the setup I also gave you guys later on is the USD JPY. Okay, we have talked about that one too before, and right now price kept on going down. Then USD CAD, this is the only setup, USD CAD and GDP CAD also that I felt went the other way, and price kept on going to the upside. So I don't know if I closed mine in this minus stop loss. I'm still in the trade. I will check eventually. Then, okay, this is the pounds yen, the setup that I gave you guys. I use an harmonic pattern to confirm the sell. Then this is the New Zealand card, and the New Zealand card, just like I told you, price has given us something roughly around the 50 pips, and you are still supposed to hold your position longer. So if you are still in the position, still hold your position for more bearish trend. Then the odd card, I gave the setup tool for the odd card. Let us look at what price eventually did regarding the odd card. I don't think I have it here, but I can quickly change one of this pair to the odd card and see. Let me quickly change this one to odd card and see what we eventually have. So this is the setup that I gave you guys, and I gave you the price action setup immediately this candle closed. This one right here. And from there, it has delivered something roughly around 100 pips. But you are still supposed to hold the position because it is meant to keep on going down based on the structure that I showed you guys eventually. Then this is the setup that I gave you guys on the New Zealand USD, and it gave us roughly around 120 pips. And this is the setup I gave you guys on the GDP USD, and it has not really gone down to the extent that I want it to go to. Then the setup I gave for the GDP card, but pricing respects the GDP card because the card pair is yet to be strong. And if you go back to the analysis on the GDP card, we'll be able to see our expectations. So I'm now telling you that right now, on the highest, price is supposed to make about 120 pips to the upside, or 150 pips, around 150 pips. When it gets to the 127.2 area, reject it and start selling. So I'm selling this sell, and I'm not going to close my sell until it invalidates this 127.2 and break it to the upside, which I don't see that possibility. I'm looking at this overall trend right now. This one right here and this right here. So eventually, I'm expecting that price is supposed to do this, get to this area, reject it, and start going down. That is my expectation. I may be wrong, but if I'm wrong, I will just have to close my position in lot. But I see CAD getting strong this week, or most likely next week. So let's, what other thing did we consider during the week? Okay, GDP check. I already told you guys before that we can have your wave 1, 2, 3 rejection around the 61.8 to pull down, then to go for the final wave 5 at the 78.6 before eventually now start selling. And that is still the odd card and the AUD USD that I gave you guys for the sell. And this is the odd check also. And this odd check gave us roughly something around 90 pips or thereabout. And okay, this was when I was doing the review of the before and after that I gave you guys in the group. And so I also posted the setup that we should be looking out for a buy setup for New Zealand USD if it breaks above this channel. But right now, price has actually gone down to somewhere around here. And so I'm looking for a rejection right now for price to break this structure and keep on going to the upside. So we'll be looking forward to buying the New Zealand US dollars, the AUD dollar, and the Euro GBP, for instance. And this is the Euro AUD, where I told you guys to look out for a bad pattern. So we are going to have a rejection around here for us to short this pair. So it has given us the confirmation for that Euro AUD for us to sell somewhere around here if price rejects the 161.8 level. And so that's it, guys. You can see that majority of the setup that I gave in the group, this odd card, also, I told you guys to leave your trade on, that is going to confirm, it's going to complete this bullish, expected bullish sharp pattern. So you don't want to close your position early. You want to leave it and accept all the blessings that market wants to give you. So that's it, guys. Those are the setups that I gave you. And as you can see, they are mostly going as predicted. About 90% of the trade, 9 out of 10, will definitely be in the prediction. That's about 18 out of 20 or thereabout, or 90 out of 100, which is not bad. So, all right, guys, we will talk later in the group. I will send some other setup that I have, and I hope you guys enjoyed this webinar. And I will see you in the group. Cheers, guys. Bye.